Good day and welcome to the Cory Morgan Show. This will be our last one of 2025. We're doing a Christmas special right now. As you can see, we're looking all festive like with the snowflakes on the glass wall and a Christmas tree back behind me. And we're just going to wrap up the year going over some of the stuff with the year. And boy, it's been a hell of a year. I mean, think about it. Trudeau was still our prime minister only a year ago. It seems like forever ago. But look how much has happened. We've got a general federal election that, well, was a catastrophe for the Conservative Party. We've had a municipal election in Alberta. We've had all sorts of events in between and going on. And we're heading into another year that looks like it's going to be no less crazy than the last one. So to wrap it up this year, we're going to speak to some of our reporters and through our news editor and just kind of do a recap of those top stories and the ones that stood out the most this year, just to look back one more time before we start looking forward. So I'll start by turning to our trusty news editor, Dave Naylor, who's in studio. And hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and Jane. Hope the season goes well for you. And your water doesn't shut off.
Oh, God, I hope not. It'll be a stinky Christmas if
there you go.
We can't get consistent.
So if I had to come to you in January of this year, and I said, I'll bet you $10 Trudeau will be out of office and dating Katy Perry. Would you have taken that bet?
Probably. You would have been $10 richer.
Yeah.
And I would have been confident and say, "How you lunatic."
Exactly. So what a year, eh? Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, the Katy Perry ending is just kind of a bizarre icing on the cake. You know, we just can't lose him from the news scroll.
No, and unfortunately, people seem to want to read about him and,
I'd rather him on the gossip pages in pop culture than sitting in any position of authority anymore. He's just
exactly.
Can have the deep conversations I'm certain they must have.
So yeah, the federal election was one of the top stories of the year. Disappointing result for Alberta, with Mark Carney being elected. He's got a one-seat minority now, I guess. He gets one more floor crosser. He'll have a majority. So we could be stuck with him for 5 years, 4 more years, I guess. And Pierre Poilievre, how close a battle for his political life do you think it's going to be?
No, a lot of people talking about the upcoming review, but those things, I mean, we always hear people try to ramp it up. We have seen reviews go badly for leaders before. I think he's going to do okay, a little lower than other times. His bigger risk is, as it usually is, it's in caucus. So if he loses too many crossing within there, it doesn't matter if the tens of thousands of members support. If you start losing dozens in your own caucus, just ask John Rustad how that ends for you, or Alison Redford, or Stockwell Day, or the long list of Conservative leaders that get torn down by their own. He's got a tough spot, though. He's got to start showing some progress.
Yeah, he does. The review is in just next month in Calgary, so that'll be fun. I'm like you. I don't think he's in any serious danger. I would bet he garners 75 to 80% support, which I would think would be enough for him to stay.
Yeah, you give him a mandate and then just hope that there aren't too many more opportunists. I mean, again, making predictions for 2026. I'm pretty confident there's going to be at least a couple more go over and they're going to get that majority for Carney.
Yep.
How damaging that knife to the party will be, I guess, is going to be where Poilievre is going to have to hold together. It's not just that review then. How are you going to maintain confidence that people? We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the economy is not going to grow in leaps and bounds anymore. It's sputtering. The trade war is hurting. Plants are closing. Mills are closing. Jobs are being lost. So that may sway some things and get the support up for the Conservatives again.
You'd think. I mean, some of the questions people get asked is, how bad is it going to get? It looks bleak for those of us who watch these sorts of things. As you said, the manufacturing, the export market, Central Canada's industries are in terrible trouble. And meanwhile, we're neutering our Western Canadian industries because we just can't get anything done. We talk and talk and talk, and we won't develop our resources. So
no, but we did get a memorandum of understanding.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, that's exciting, between Prime Minister Carney and Premier Smith. They're going to take small steps towards building a pipeline. I'm not sure it'll ever get built in my lifetime.
No, small steps indeed. I mean, the flux capacitor will be invented by then, and we'll all be traveling to the future, and you won't need oil by the time these guys get one in the ground. There's this posturing, frustrates me. I mean, we know that with Liberal governments, any government, if they really want to get something done, they get it done.
Yeah.
If he wanted to see that pipe, he'd be saying, we're going to make that thing go. But he's just feeding us.
Yeah, and Premier Smith this week saying, if we can't go west, we'll go south.
Yeah.
And, get it out onto the Pacific Northwest coast and for export to Asia. So there are more than one way to skin a cat.
Oh, yeah. And she's had quite a year, too, and has another one to look forward to. The AGM was pretty lively this year in Edmonton for the UCP.
Yeah. Well, why don't we delve into independence? That was a big issue in Alberta for the year. We were both at the UCP convention when Jeff Rath stood up and rallied his troops and got a very large standing ovation, probably 80 to 90% of the people there. So, you're the expert on this file. You're a published best-selling author on this file. Momentum seems to be building, and there's no doubt there's going to be a vote.
Yes. And if we're going to take one of those $10 bets or something, like I think it's showing that Premier Smith's committed to having a referendum held. I don't get the feeling she's on the side of wanting to see yes vote necessarily, but understands that referendum has to be held. There's just too much pressure. There's got to be a choice given to Albertans, and it gives her a lot of political leverage to play with. I think it's going to be in fall, by the looks of the way the scheduling's starting to go with this and petitioning and so on. If nothing changes dramatically, I can't see it winning. But that's a long campaign period of time and a lot of events that could happen to change that altogether. It's stronger than I've ever seen in my life, and solid. It's not just, I'm outraged this week, but I calm down next week. This has been holding steady and growing since the last federal election. I mean, there was already a base of it before the last federal election. That just really drove it home to some people. So it's striking. As we're talking before, I've been doing public speaking, meetings as a guest speaker for the Alberta Prosperity Project. And these meetings are getting bigger and bigger. Even bad weather, nasty highways, dark nights, people are getting up and coming out to these meetings, and they're new people. It's not just the same old faces. So something's building up here, and it can't be ignored. So yeah, I would still make that bet that I don't think there's going to be a positive vote by the fall of 2026. I hope there is. That's where I sit on things. But I wouldn't rule it out either. I just, things are different than we've ever seen before.
Yeah. I think there's probably a solid 35% that would vote for independence. And they're solid,
Yeah.
But, there's 10% there that may be leaning one way and maybe leaning the other way. But when you get in that ballot box and you're choosing, right, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of things that have to be explained, how things are going to run in a independent Alberta. But I think it'll top out maximum at 40%.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it depends on how things go in this next 9 months and what kind of campaign is there, filling those questions, filling that void. The Alberta Prosperity Project's done some great ground organization and everything, but I think they're almost maxing out. To try and reach new people, they got to change a little of their messaging, perhaps coming from some of their older people in there. I won't mention any particular names, but if you want to appeal, though, to the urban voters that you must appeal to win a referendum, and the younger voters, you've got to change a little more of that messaging now. Just rampaging around in an ill-fitting suit and cowboy hat in small-town meetings isn't going to get them over the line.
No. I think another one of the big issues this year from all parts of the country has been regarding Indigenous people and everything from the Kamloops grave hoax, as you call it, the Cowichan decision in BC throwing land ownership, home ownership up in the air. The closing of parks in British Columbia and saying only Aboriginal or Indigenous people can go in it. I think it's creating a bit of a backlash, and I think we've got some parents in Ontario who are suing school boards over these endless land acknowledgement, whatever you want to call them, tributes. But I think it's going to be a continuing, Indigenous affairs is going to be a continuing issue in 2026.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's really coming to a head. I mean, we're talking now about large tracts of populated private property. David Eby has taken a bad situation and made it so much worse. I mean, the way they're saying, the mixed messaging they're throwing out now too, saying, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. This is just, it'll be settled. Well, now banks won't finance houses or businesses out there anymore. So then the government says, don't worry, we'll bail you out. Well, wait a minute. If this isn't really happening, why are you dedicating $150 million to buy out these people? And we know when you give away just a little like that, the claims that are already there are going to explode hot and heavy. And there's a claim over every inch of BC in one place or another. And it's going to get bad. And, when you start taking an area and some idiot judge, and I'm sick of idiot judges, and there's a lot of them, gives away a portion of an urban area, it says that's it. There's going to be people who are going to say, I'm not leaving my house. It's going to be from those cold, dead fingers sort of approaches to things. This country has got to sort out that.
You talk about idiot judges. All it takes is one smart judge, to set a precedent ruling or one or a Supreme Court. But you're right, coming to a head, and it's got to be dealt with sooner than later.
Yeah, can't keep waiting. It's festering.
It is.
And it's certain them. Our own Jared Yeager is great for getting out to those conferences and that, with that renaming of a bridge to some weird, incomprehensible thing there. But that it was really striking when that, somebody had asked a valid question about the Chinese steel used in the bridge, and the Indigenous leader for the area came up and shoved the minister aside and then lectured with a temper tantrum the reporter and said, we're only here to talk about nice stuff and celebrate stuff about us. You can talk to him another time. Really did highlight the infantilization of the people we've managed to, because she acted like a 6-year-old child having a tantrum, the entitlement, and just how these are the people we're supposed to negotiate and reason with. And instead, with all this pandering, this is what's been created. So seeing a solution out of this, we're in for a heck of a year, I think, because even Eby doesn't know what to do now. He's created this monster. Yeah. He can't manage it.
Talking about things that we would never have predicted at the beginning of the year, how about a nationwide effort to save a flock of ostriches?
Oh, yes.
Is it a flock of ostriches, a herd, a gathering?
I don't know what the term for ostriches would be. That's a good question. With that much being in the news that long, we should have
figured that one out. But
gotten that one. You get a murder of crows and so on, but I never really thought of ostriches.
So that has garnered international attention for about a month when the Canadian government, the Food Inspection Agency, decided they would have to slaughter all these poor creatures because one of them had avian flu last year, and even though none of the flock, I guess they got a herd immunity. So we'll call them a herd of ostriches.
I guess.
That was, nobody was burying their head in the sand on that one.
Oh, man. End the year with one like that.
Yeah, I've been saving that one up all year.
Yeah, well, it was a good example of the government being ham-fisted. Again, with their regulatory agencies, their bureaucratic agencies, so clumsy. I mean, they could have come into this. I understand there's a reason for that. There's a need for it. I mean, if there really was a virulent virus going through there that's going to harm poultry production or other neighboring areas, we do have to manage that. But they just came in guns blazing, it seemed. I mean, to be fair, too, those owners seemed that they weren't your run-of-the-mill ranchers. They were a little different as well, which makes it difficult to manage. But I just think they made it much worse than they had to. Much like their COVID response. They can't come in with reason. They come in with the truncheons instead.
Exactly. And one of our highlights, I always speak for myself, and I'm sure I'm speaking for you, is we both got to travel to one of the world's hotspots, Israel, this year.
Yeah.
Very eye-opening.
It was. I mean, quite a year to go, during I guess not the worst of the conflict, but still an active one, and really get an eyes on the ground, see the people. It's different as when you get there yourself versus what we're reading or seeing on TV.
Well, it's first thing that strikes you is everybody's walking around with a machine gun.
Yeah.
Right, even in civilian clothes. It's okay if an army person's carrying one, but it's very striking to see a man walking along the beachfront in Tel Aviv with his family, and he's got an M16 strapped to his back.
Well, it's a sad necessity, but it's comforting in the sense too. I mean, the horrific situation we saw on the beach in Australia, if there'd have been, 50 people around with their own firearms at that time, those 6 shooters probably would have only gotten 3 or 4 shots off before they were neutralized.
Yeah.
As opposed to managing to kill 15 people and wound 35 others. But
we both got to go to the site of the Nova music festival massacre where hundreds of people died, and it's really quite a moving thing. It's just there's just crosses with everybody's photo on it, and they're all young people.
To be there and see those pictures, and it still struck me, because you could see these were just kids. They were just partying. They were really, truly in the wrong place at the wrong time. They could have been anybody's daughters or sons or cousins, not harming anybody, and to be mercilessly slaughtered and abused as they were by these monsters. And that's what they were. They were monsters. I'm glad for the Exigent Foundation for bringing media members out. So have a look. They weren't telling us what to write or what to think, but here, have a look for yourself, because there's been so much misinformation or, trying to, I would say whitewash even, or just trying to set aside how horrific the actions of October 7th were. We can't let people forget what those guys did to start this whole mess. Even if you're critical of what Israel's doing now, got to understand how this began. And we sure saw.
Yeah, I got to travel to the Near Oz kibbutz. That's where the Bilbas family was kidnapped from, and there was an old guy there called Shlomo, believe it or not, and he was taking us around to all the burned out houses, and we're probably about 2 kilometers from Gaza, and you could see the smoke from the bombings, still rising, and blood still on the walls of the houses and stuff like that. What happened that day is just beyond description, beyond what one human can do to another is just gross.
It drives home that hard reality. We like to imagine maybe it's only in the movies, maybe it's only in history books, but to realize that people really are, we've lived a nice sheltered life in Canada. As much as we complain about the politics and everything else, comparatively, the safety and the lack of seeing anything like that happen here has allowed us to be complacent, but to go firsthand and realize that this can still happen today in this modern world. In fact, it is happening. Just drives a hard lesson home.
Yeah, I remember traveling in Germany and going to the Dachau concentration camp, and I thought it was kind of similar, except that Dachau was 80 years ago.
Yeah,
and this was 2 years ago, right? And it was just really, really does strike home.
Yeah, well, hopefully next year bodes a little better somehow for what's going on. I mean, that was kind of the final part of it too, is just learning how complicated that whole area is, and there's no simple solution to what's happening.
No, it's a mess. I was surprised at how cosmopolitan Tel Aviv was. The building going on there is just crazy. Oh, yeah. So skyscrapers and cranes every corner, and I left with a good impression of Israel, but yeah, there's no easy answers.
No, I mean, that's it. You've got Tel Aviv, and it's beautiful, and the restaurants and the cafes and the strikingly beautiful people all over the place. But it's such a small area. I mean, you go 40 miles in one direction or another, and suddenly you're into Palestinian territory, and it's a war zone.
Yeah.
So,
well, why don't we bring in Jeremy Borg and see what stories he wants to talk about this year?
You bet. Editing Magic, Jeremy Borg is here with us, a newer member of the Western Standard family here, but very prolific with lots of stories, covered some big stuff in the relatively short time here already. So welcome back to the show. I've had you on before.
No, you haven't.
Oh, snub.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, if I had, it wasn't memorable. Sorry about that. Well, it's about time you got on here then.
Yeah, glad to be here.
And, well, tell us, what stood out for you in your year, this year with the Western Standard?
So starting chronologically, I think the first thing we're going to have to talk about is the Jessica Yaniv story.
Oh, you got some balls.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So it was a harassment case that was brought against Yaniv by Donald Smith, who was then later possibly arrested in BC. I haven't checked up on that. And I think that's probably my most viral story today, getting like 2 million views on Twitter.
For those who don't know, Jessica Yaniv is a very well-known troublemaker in British Columbia.
Yeah, sort of the ball waxing.
Yeah, she's sued like beauty pageants for not letting her in, and sued spas for refusing to wax her in malls. She's special. She's special. She I remember one story I did was she kept laying in the bathtub and calling for the fire department to come and help her out.
Yeah, those poor firemen. I mean, man, it's a tough job.
Things they have to see. So, yeah, when that story came across my desk, I knew it was going to be a gooder, and Jeremy did a good job on it.
Well,
Yeah, that story led to an in-depth piece that I quite enjoyed writing, where I just detailed everything Yaniv has done that put them in the public spotlight. Highlights being calling Drea Humphrey the N-word repeatedly, assaulting Kian Bexty, allegations of grooming minors, although that hasn't been substantiated. There's a lot there.
in the end of it, he, whatever, is a very troubled person. I mean, it's clearly somebody with some mental health issues, but I mean, it's just so comical that we can't help but report on that dumpster fire.
Yeah, what an introduction to the Western Standard family in my first month after being a teacher.
Politics. No, let's talk about Yaniv.
Yeah, no, I walked into work and I didn't even know who Yaniv was that day. I learned a lot.
Well, you'll never forget now.
No, especially not if someone keeps sending me emails about them. So moving on to number 2. This was a recent story that strikes close to home as an Ontarian. There were these Indigenous chiefs that came to Ottawa to do a press conference, and one of the Northern Ontario chiefs said that the Ring of Fire development just wasn't going to happen until his community was thriving with perfect water, and that kind of stood out to me because the mainstream media wasn't reporting on it like that. They were saying Indigenous communities complaining about lack of water, lack of resources, but just randomly claiming that a huge industrial project isn't going to happen is just wild to me, and I never saw that before.
We see a lot of those. Dave and I were kind of talking about that, just this whole sense of whether they hold the power to veto projects or not. It's got to be resolved, or we're never going to get anything done in this country.
No, it really is. If you can just destroy huge infrastructure projects that are going to help people make money and help this struggling Canadian economy, I think then we have to have a real conversation about what the actual role is of Indigenous people in our infrastructure projects. They can't just claim to shut things down when they don't like things.
Glad you sniffed it out in Ontario, because we're here a lot more out in the prairies and BC and so on. We can't forget there's a large Indigenous population in northern Quebec, Ontario, and it's the same problems.
Yeah. What's next on your list?
What's next on my list?
Yes, Jeremy's list.
Okay. Going a little further, this is sort of a two-parter. We got the sort of my federal politics coverage. We've got the D'Entremont and Ma sagas. Didn't think there were a lot of floor crossers. The fact that it happened twice in 2 months is a little bit crazy. Especially learning about the Nova Scotia conservative movement, which is borderline a liberal movement. Just hearing about that drama in federal politics was quite entertaining. It made my days interesting. Dave, I know you did a little bit more on D'Entremont than Ma, but what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, they're traitorous turncoats, aren't they?
Yeah.
They were elected as a conservative. They weren't elected as a liberal. If their constituents really wanted a liberal, they would have elected the liberal guy. But they didn't, and these guys stabbed their voters in the back. So,
yeah, I've been
what goes around comes around.
I've been talking to some of the constituents, some of the people who worked for him, and the general consensus is that Ma just absolutely stabbed them in the back without any notice, including the article I wrote today. I guess would have been a couple days ago when this airs, about Ma saying that he didn't even know he was going to become a liberal until the day of, which also conflicts with a couple of his prior claims. But
yeah, that's been in the works for a little while. It just he's clearly a self-serving individual. That's just how politics go.
And we can clearly see that the Carney government is engaging in some backroom dealings to manufacture a majority rather than actually getting the votes or calling an election.
Yeah, absolutely.
D'Entremont was the same story, although it seemed like the Conservative Party had a little bit more notice for that one. They had their talking points prepped. They were able to sort of fight back, whereas Ma was just a complete blindsiding, including that whole Christmas party scandal in the Secret Santa where Jamil Giovanni got snubbed, which was another funny one. I think Garnet Jenis, an Alberta MP, picked up on that story I wrote. That graphic was pretty fun to make.
Yep.
Well, right on. Well, you've been off to a good start for the season. As I was saying to Dave, 2026 looks like it's going to be even crazier. So rest up over the holidays and get ready to cover a bunch more insanity. I think it's going to be landing on your desk, and make sure you send a Christmas card to Jessica for kicking off your Western Standard career so well.
I asked Michelle for one, so I'll have to find the address.
Great.
So why don't we bring in David Winnick?
Sounds good. All right, now I got both Daves in the room at the same time. Usually I'm just swapping one Dave or another. I've got my substitute Dave when this Dave isn't available, but we have both Daves. Daves, I know.
Surprise, surprise.
Do not adjust your set. This is... not sure what that is.
I think this is perfect for the homoerotic Christmas episode of Three's Company. So
I think I used to have shag carpeting in that.
that's I said I'd go with 70s Uncle with this. I like this.
This is our Uncle Rico going on.
So what is your favorite story of the year?
Well, when you asked us to do this was kind of a bit of a odd one. I went with 3. I didn't really know what to do exactly, if I should go with the one that got the most views, the one I liked, etc. So I did a couple. I personally liked the one I did about Eva Chipiuk, who's everyone's favorite Freedom Convoy lawyer, and her bank account's getting canceled by the Royal Bank of Canada for no reason, really. They just kind of canceled them, and then after she asked them why, they said that they flagged it because she did a transaction with Bitcoin, which she didn't exactly believe that was the main reason.
No, that was a good story. That got huge number of page views for us. Yeah, it was a lot of interest.
Well, I was looking as well, actually, because it was, if I remember correctly, published on July 23rd, which was 1 month to the day that I started working here. So I guess I peaked early and I've crashed and burned like the Hindenburg ever since.
You got to find another big one. Come on.
I'm working.
It's what have you done for me lately is the motto of this business.
I suppose, yeah.
But what else you got?
Well, I was trying to find one that was a nice one. And there was a story here a while back about a high school football coach known as Taylor Teague Johannesson, or Johansson, I believe his name's pronounced, who was in Sylvan Lake. He was coaching football at the local high school, and he got canceled off the football team by the school there because he posted some stuff online about the trans ideology that he didn't agree with. And then our publisher, Derek Fildebrand, did a story on that and broke the story. And then I ran into Teague a couple months later at the, I think it was the Alberta Municipalities Convention, and he had become a town councillor, and he gave credit to the Western Standard for basically giving him exposure, and he ran as a Christian Conservative candidate, and he won. So that's a feel-good story for the year.
Story, yeah, you got somebody elected.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't say it was me. I give Derek credit to begin with. Obviously, I have to because, reasons why.
He signs your paycheck.
Well, that's a good follow-up. I knew he was running, actually, and I hadn't really followed up to see if he'd gotten the spot or not. So, okay.
Well, I didn't even know he was running. I just ran into him at the thing and whatnot and talked to him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, it's like Western Standard. I love you guys." And he absolutely was just went on and said he was town councillor. Yeah, that's great. He said, who knows, maybe he might run for mayor one day, he said. So, wait and see.
Mayor of Sylvan Lake?
Yeah.
I'd vote for him.
Oh, I'd definitely vote for him. Sure, why not?
And next?
Well, I figured I'll go with 3 because that's usually the top 3 thing. This one's kind of, this was the amusing one. Everyone's favorite public safety minister, gun grab Gary. Now, how do we pronounce this?
I've never.
Renata Sanguri, I think. Possibly. Yeah, this is the one where he got caught talking to, I think, one of his tenants in his building he owns in Toronto about the whole gun grab program. And basically, he admitted that it was a lot to do with political ideology, not so much actually getting illegal guns and criminals off the streets. And he even told the tenant that if he got arrested because he didn't want to turn in his legally owned firearms, that he would bail him out. There's a whole huge controversy about that. And that was before that the Cape Breton pilot program happened, which was an absolute disaster. I think they eventually confiscated, 22 out of 200 banned firearms that they knew of in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
And that's God knows how much money that cost at the end of the day. I think it was something like $741 million they had budgeted for the whole program. So that went well.
Yeah, it wasn't really a confiscation. They just say, "Hey, come on, guys, turn them all in." Right?
Exactly.
They weren't kicking down doors to get those guys.
Oh, and I mean that's about as liberal and receptive an area as you're Cape Breton, actually. They're kind of special. That's a special part of Canada, but
beautiful though.
It is beautiful,
absolutely. But they're like the next Newfies, that bunch. But get some hate mail from both on that one. But it's just, if they can't make it succeed in an area there, how on earth, when they start hitting the true redneck lands out in the West, are they going to have a hope of getting people? Oh yeah, sure, I'll come right in and turn in my property. Don't hold your breath, you guys.
It's got $1 billion boondoggle written all over it.
Oh, they just wanted to outdo Alan Rock and his attempts to bring up a name from the past.
There you go. Yeah. No, I don't think it. Yeah, obviously, it's not going to work. I don't know why they continue with it. Maybe Carney will get smart and just let it go away.
I don't know that ideology and simple solution to complex problems won't go away, though, on the Liberal end. I mean, we saw that in its worst way just recently with, again, the Australian horrible massacre. I mean, the same day, the politicians are coming out saying this means we need more laws against law-abiding gun owners. You just don't get it, and they won't.
These guys are not law-abiding.
No, it's funny they don't. Geez, I wonder if they were registered.
Oh, yeah.
I highly doubt it.
So, what's your prediction for 2026?
Oh, I usually don't try to do those, Dave, because I'm always wrong. That's why I'm not a betting man.
All right, what's your resolution then?
I don't do those either because I never fall through with those. I'm a pretty boring guy, Dave. What can I say?
I was kind of hoping your resolution would be to get a new sport coat.
Hey, this is a new sport coat, Dave. I'll say for the record.
It's new.
Yeah. I know it looks a bit old, but that's the whole charm of it. Like I said, I like this.
Why don't you send in the very much more fashionable Leah Musha?
Fashionable? Well, okay, maybe. I suppose I will, Dave.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you.
You've set the bar now, yeah, and you've got 364 more days to shop for your outfit for next year's.
I already have. Okay, maybe that's one thing I'll have planned.
There you go. Right on. All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Right, well, hello, Leah. Merry Christmas and welcome to the show.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for having me.
So you've been hard at it for some time in the Western Standard office. I know you must have a number of stories under your belt that you want to expand on what's been happening in this crazy year and what you've been covering.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I got one. It was when I did a breakdown of basically the free speech laws in Europe and relating it back to Bill C-9, which is obviously going through the process of being legislated right now, which is the Combating Hate Act. Yeah, well, basically I learned that, for example, the UK has had free speech, what's the word for it?
Restrictions?
Restrictions, yes. Restrictions for quite some time. Like there was one in 1988 and there's one in 2003 that was legislated that basically says you're not allowed to comment and any hateful things to people in general. So I don't know. I just found that very interesting because I think it kind of shows the future of where Canada is going. And it's a very slow kind of rule to get there.
We had a story this week on a guy in England who was sentenced to 1.5 years in jail for 2 tweets slamming immigration that were viewed by a total of 33 people. And he got 18 months in prison.
Again, we were speaking earlier of idiot judges, right? Like, I mean, how, especially when you look at 33 views, I mean, you should measure damage at least, even if whatever he said was horrific and hateful. Only 33 people saw it.
It's not just this one guy. I mean, they've been emptying prisons out to put tweeters in. It's crazy over there. And, Leah's right. You see it happening over there and you see what the Liberals are doing. And, it's pretty good comparison as to what may come.
Well, and some of us who are a little more outspoken than others on X, I'm probably going to get charged because I won't shut the hell up. I'm only going to get worse.
Well, you're going to get charged with residential school denialism.
Yeah, well, that's another direction we're going. That NDP private members bill is going through to, that's another story that hit too with the sealing of the Kamloops residential school files now. So There's been no resolution. They gave them $12 million. It looks like they did nothing but bought new trucks. And now that people kept asking questions, what have you guys done with the money? The government's decided we're just going to seal the records, no more questions. Okay, and we'll start charging people if you ask questions in the future. It's
crazy.
So I better get myself measured for an orange jumpsuit.
Okay, also, the next one I got that I found kind of interesting because I actually had to go and basically witness Calgary police cracking down on crime. So I got to walk along with a Sergeant Christian Thorpe, that was his name, And they basically were claiming they were going to, I don't know, stop crime. But what I basically saw was people just talking to the homeless people and telling them to leave, but then they would just go, sit somewhere else. It didn't seem like they were doing that much, but yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, the police, and all over the country kind of do these media opportunities where they look. I think the police chief had 200 cops down there or something.
I
Some large number, and it works for about 3 hours, and then the meth heads are back on the corner again.
As Leah said, I mean, you're only going to move them from one spot to another. It's not like you can go tell a homeless man to go home. I mean,
Right.
All you can say is don't stand on this corner. Okay, well, I guess I'll go stand on that corner or in that alley or that doorway. It's a big problem, but it shows, unfortunately, I'm glad you went down in person to see that the impression of doing something, unfortunately, is more often important to them than actually doing something. But what are they supposed to do? Arrest them, fill the jails, I mean, it's
Yeah. Especially because we went to the drop-in center as well. And I think the drop-in center can only, the capacity is like 1,000 people. And I think 2024 stats said homeless population in Calgary was like 3,000 or so. So it could be even more now for all we know. So even if everyone is going into the drop-in center, there's still not enough. Even with the Salvation Army, I'm pretty sure it's only a few hundred. So yeah.
On what we do need, I think, and as I imagine you saw evident, anybody who works downtown, the bulk of the people on the street, they didn't fall through the cracks. It's not for lack of jobs. It's not for lack of affordable housing. They're either addicted to something or they have a mental health issue, or both. I mean, I've gone on enough columns and so on about it, but we need facilities to house addicts and mentally ill people, not homeless shelters, but our government's not ready to face that yet.
Yeah. Well, they're slowly taking very small steps to that treatment. Forcing people into treatment through a court order, and that's one way. We haven't tried it before, so why not give it a go?
Oh yeah, well, there's something I put out on X. It might have been considered hateful by some, but that got a lot of attention the other week when I was driving, and there was a guy shuffling up between the vehicles. Terrible cold weather. His pants are hanging down, his butt's hanging out. Which you see with lots of them. It's because those addicts have lost weight so dramatically. That's why their pants are always falling down. And because his pants had fallen down, it became evident he'd lost body control. So he'd made a mess of himself. And I tweeted out just to say, and here we have advocates saying we can't pick a guy who's in a late stage condition like this off the streets and try to force treatment or at least clean him up, force feed, whatever, because we want to maintain their dignity. Like that ship sailed. This poor man, there's no dignity left in him anymore. I think, I'm glad you got out to see at least, in person and to see what the police, that's the point of media. I think get out there where not other people will and see on the ground, not just what the activists and advocates are going to say, the hard reality, because then maybe it would make people receptive to the hard solutions, which means, sometimes we got to force people in because nothing else is going to save them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And even the drop-in centers don't allow people who are obviously high or whatever to go inside of the center. So there's also that. And also, I think the cops, it's not like they can really do anything as well.
No.
Because it's like the law. So they just enforce the law.
Yeah.
No, their hands are tied. As Cory said, you can't lock everybody up. Much as we might like to one day, or some days.
It's a mess. It's in every city. But I mean, credit where due, as you brought up. I mean, Jason Kenney started that with expanding the treatment facilities, and Premier Smith has carried on with that. Talk about that legislation. It'll be interesting to see the numbers come in, because some of our overdose numbers were kind of starting to come down a little bit once the facilities expanded. Hopefully that trend has been continuing, because Vancouver's, of course, been trying the other way, and that hasn't worked. And
I think we're still getting 8 people a day dying from fentanyl.
So that's
Jeez.
Hopefully, Donald Trump, if he keeps blowing up the boats, may see a shortage of fentanyl.
shortages.
Because a lot of it's done in China, anyways, right?
Yeah, I hope for the Orange Man to accomplish something, but I won't hold my breath on too much of it.
Yeah. You think he's going to invade Venezuela?
I don't
just
know.
Like Bush the first did with Panama.
I don't know. I mean, predicting anything Donald Trump might do. I mean, boy, you want to ask about pulling out a crystal ball. The only thing I would give a little bit of credit to him for, and I know, again, conservatives get upset with him. I've never been a fan of his, though. he's not a hawk. There's never, even in his first administration and in this one, he's never been that eager to send American troops into war zones. That's not been his thing. Obama actually did a lot more actions when he was in than Donald Trump did. So whatever Trump does, he doesn't like sending soldiers into foreign situations. So I would guess it to be unlikely he would directly go into Venezuela, pressure them, do other things, maybe blockading, but I don't know about putting people on the ground.
Yeah, Maduro seems in no hurry to go, though, does he? I mean, he's completely surrounded by aircraft carriers now with all their guns pointed at him, and doesn't know where he goes.
They can do it through siege, kind of as they have been,
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, what about your prediction for next year?
Prediction? Something that's going to happen?
That's what a prediction means, yeah.
Okay, just clarifying. Okay, what should I predict? I don't know. Maybe Trump will invade. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spotlight. No, but
why not? This is the room to be put on the spot.
That's true.
Maybe they'll expand the treatment centers, hopefully in the near future.
Well, good. It's a positive thing to look forward to.
Leah's done some very good work this year on MAID, medically assisted dying, and she's done numerous stories on it. And we kill more people than most countries, and organ harvesting and all sorts of nastiness like that. So I think that's going to be a big issue next year.
Oh yeah, in the future
you'll have to stay on top of and follow stories.
Especially because I'm pretty sure, didn't they just pause the legislation for mental health to be included? I think it's for 2027.
I think they kicked it down the road, yeah.
It's 2027. So, it's going to be an important story to keep an eye on, and Leah will do it.
Right on.
Okay.
Well, thanks for checking in, and we'll see what you're on in the new year.
Sweet.
Happy New Year.
Nice.
Happy New Year.
All right. Well, and trying to get through all those reporters, all those stories we did overlook, and Jeremy was going to mention it. And it was a massive story from last year that really changed the landscape. The whole Charlie Kirk assassination, boy, that really caught us all off guard.
Yeah, and it sort of came out of nowhere, and it started moving across the internets and whatnot. And the thing that will always stay with me is that horrible video.
Yeah. Right.
And if you haven't seen it, don't go look for it because it's very graphic. But it's. I think it's all a product of the environment down there, though, isn't it? You've got two sides that are completely polarized. The Democrats and the Republicans, and the visceral hatred was going to lead to something like this.
It's unfortunate when you dehumanize your opponent, when you bring it beyond the politics and you start calling them evil, you start calling them Nazis, you start calling them, communists, everything. When you get too far out and beyond the pale, with somebody unhinged, because it still takes somebody unhinged to ever pick up arms. No, your average person can get very angry and even extreme, but most won't do that. But that can be that final straw. They think they're doing the world a favor, and it's tragic.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's going to happen in Canada, God forbid, but, we're a polarized country now, too. We've got two sides completely opposite, and, both have nothing good to say about the other. So, all the leaders, when bad stuff happens, all the leaders say, we got to ratchet it down. And then, like yesterday, Trump went on an 18-minute speech just blasting Biden, right, and calling him every name in the book. So it hasn't ratcheted down at all. So it was a tragic case, and his wife and kids were there at the university, and his wife has stepped forward to try and fill his shoes, and she's met with a lot of vitriol already.
Jersey kooks that come out of woodworks against her, and that's
it's crazy, just crazy.
Well, if nothing else, end off on where you talked earlier with learning something, and Israel was never wanting to see it where it comes to gunfire, because we see how awful and terrible it can really get. So, whatever you think, folks, however bad it gets, don't go that path. Nobody's wins. All right. Well, thanks, Dave. We'll get ready for the new year and a whole pack of new stories.
Been an eventful year, and you're off to Arizona in the new year
in January, and I'm going to do a couple shows from down there out in the desert. And
you and Art Bell.
Yes, yeah, or the memory of Art Bell. Anyway,
Memory of
it's,
Art Bell.
in honor of Art Bell. I'll be a little less conspiratorial, perhaps, but
Well, that'll be fun for you.
yeah, it should be. Just
Watch
get away
out,
from the snow.
watch out for snakes.
Yeah, those rattlers. I'll try to see if I can bring you one back.
No,
We're
don't
like-
do that.
All right. All right, and thank everybody else out there, guys. If you haven't subscribed, I got to throw that last plug in. Check it out, westernstandard.news/subscription. Take it out. $10 a month, $100 for a year. And, help support independent media so we can get that messaging to you for another year. Have a great Christmas. Have a good New Year. Let's have a peaceful, productive 2026. I don't mind it being crazy. I don't mind it being lively. Let's have some big radical change. Let's just make sure it's always peaceful. It's not worth getting violent. We can yell at each other. We can insult each other, berate each other. Just don't shoot at each other or hit each other. By the way, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, all the whole works that cover it all. And we will see you in the new year.